Hey everyone, this will be part 2 of the actual conversion. This is the assembly part with the new part you see here that I purchased. This is a carburetor conversion kit. Basically makes it tri-fuel so that you can use liquid propane, natural gas, or gasoline. Very nice kit, only $30. Please see part 1 if you want to see the disassembly for this upgrade. Bear with me just a second. Okay, so if you watch the first video, you can see that I had one gasket that came with the kit that didn't really look like a great match. This is the gasket, probably the most important one, the gasket that goes between the carburetor and the engine. So here I'm trying to figure out how closely it does fit and if it looks like it is going to work or not. Decided to go ahead and go with it. The other gasket on the airbox side is a really good fit. And it looks like in the product description on Amazon, the third gasket that I did not receive was probably the one that I need to fit between the carburetor and the engine. So you can see here I've cleaned up the surface there on the engine with the gasket that didn't come off very well. Slid the gasket on. Now I'm sliding on the carburetor, the new carburetor. And it just slips right on. Pretty nice fit. Everything looks like it belongs, like it was meant to be there. Then, like I said, we have this gasket on the outside that looks like it's a pretty good fit. So I think I think the next step would be, we need to get the linkage all hooked up on the new carburetor. So it goes back in very similar to the same way that the bar or the aluminum linkage came out of the old one. You can see on the top there's a slot here. You just rotate this until the slot lines up with the aluminum linkage, and it just drops down in the hole. And then when you let go and this rotates back the other way, it won't pop out because the slot's not lined up with it. You can see here this very fine spring fits in this little tiny hole right next to it, and also on the other end, same thing. So I did need to kind of tweak this to make sure that it didn't really look like it was going to stay. It wouldn't, and it, during the disassembly it just popped out. So I did take my needle nose pliers and kind of bent that, a little bit more of a loop there so that it would stay on. Next thing I did was I installed the choke lever. So it goes on this stud right here, and there's a little pin that fits in that slot on the top. And again, pardon my videography skills. Trying to do everything one-handed. So you can see I've got the pin in this little slot here, and it's sitting on this post. This is a 3-position choke, unlike the original, which was 2-position. That'll become important when we run the engine for the first time, and I'll show you what I found when I actually started the engine up. Okay, so I did reattach the gas line. The gas tank's not attached, but I'll probably put some sort of a plug or something into this gas line. The line needs to be replaced, you know, when I do um, repair the gas tank. And I did find a rebuild kit for the gas tank that comes with the level gauge, the gas cap, the fuel petcock, the shutoff valve, which includes a filter that sticks up into the gas tank. Comes with, I think, the 4 rubber grommets for the remounting the gas tank back onto the generator. I also did find a pretty inexpensive kit that was a complete gas tank. Looked like it was an exact match. The only thing I couldn't quite tell from the photos was where the fuel valve goes on the bottom of the gas tank. It kind of looked like it was on the side rather than the end, which would have been a problem, or would be a problem for this particular engine. So reassembling, you know, you have to put these 2 nuts back on, one on either side of the throttle body for the carburetor. Tighten those down, and then you can see down at the bottom there's that bolt that comes in from the other side that holds the back of the air box to the frame brace. Let's see if I have a picture of that there, that bolt there, right here. And so the next step, you'll need to put the inner part of the airbox back on. That bolts on with these 4 bolts. So we are going to put that back in place. So you can see here it is reinstalled. Make sure you orient it the right direction, or else things won't work well. Phillips screwdriver to tighten these 4 bolts down. Reinstall the air cleaner element, and then snap the cover back on with the top and bottom clips. For some reason or other, I initially tried to put this cover on upside down, but the bottom of the cover should have the letters OHV for overhead valve. Clip the bottom and the top clips, and pretty much this vent hose needs to be inserted back in the hole in the airbox. That's something I didn't do earlier. So it just pushes down in there. There's nothing holding it in. You can kind of see how far to push it based on, you know, the markings on it from where it was before. So there you have the install. Next challenge is to find the right setup to supply the liquid propane, which is what I'm going to try running this on initially. Eventually I'll get the gas company out to put a connection on the outside of the house, similar to what you would have for like a gas grill or something, that I can do some quick disconnects from here to a connection into my house, natural gas, and that way I won't have to go searching for liquid propane or gasoline. Operation for this is once you put the gas to this connection, no instructions came with this, but the order itself had a warning on there that you need to make sure that the gas pressure to this regulator is 0.3 to 0.4 pounds. Had a real difficult time trying to find a regulator that I could put on the tank that would go to that level. What I discovered was, after going to 5 or 6 stores, not getting any help from anybody, and I eventually went to a propane / welding company, and the gentleman there told me that a barbecue pit regulator, which most of those are fixed, there's no knob on it to adjust it or anything, is 10.5 column inches of water is the pressure that it's manually set to, or it's fixed pressure. So I had a really difficult time. Nobody could tell me what that actually was, and eventually I just went online and I looked it up. You can see here I put 11. I heard it's 11 on some, and some people told me it's 10.5, but if you look at 11, it comes out to roughly 0.4. So it's perfect pressure for it. So I am going to show you the connections that I made, and show you that the engine actually runs in the next little segment here. I think I'll go ahead and just keep it in this part 2 video. So you can see here, I have, kind of hard to see, basically I got this barbecue pit regulator. It's a hose, and I basically cut the fitting off on the end, pushed it onto the connector that I showed you in the previous video, and I put a nice good hose clamp on it to ensure that it doesn't leak, and won't have any problems with falling off. This is the regulator, very simple. This is like 19 bucks at Home Depot or Lowe's or Tractor Supply, or a lot of different places, but basically it just connects directly on. There's no adjustments or anything on this. So I open the valve, all the way, and then you go to this center button in the regulator and you push that in for a few seconds. That allows the gas to purge into the regulator. I guessed the position of this orange valve here. Fortunately I was correct. I didn't fiddle with it or anything. I just wanted to see that this conversion actually worked. And then so came around other side, flipped on the engine switch, gave it a pull, then realized I didn't choke it, so I choked it, fully choked all the way over to the left. Couple of pulls, actually third pull, you can see the vibration there, so the engine is actually running. Once the engine starts, you move it to the center position. Let me stop it here. You move it to the choke to the center position. Do not fully unchoke it. It will die. So it has to run on that center position. I've heard several other people that have done this conversion, the same exact result that they had. You can see here it's running 110. I'm going to plug in a light just to show you that it is producing power. No gas tank on there. Light does work. So successful project. So for shut off, you just flip the breaker to turn it back off, and then of course you need to shut off your propane tank, to make sure that nothing leaks from the tank and the connections to the engine. So that's it. I probably will do something a little better with the regulator connection to the carburetor once the hurricane passes. Hurricane Laura is supposed to hit just east of Houston, just north of Houston, just east of Houston on Wednesday evening or Thursday morning early. Probably going to be 115 mile an hour winds or so when it hits the coast. Up here, being that it's a fast-moving storm. I live in a very heavily wooded area, so fast-moving storm, we could easily have 70, 80 mile an hour winds this far north, north of Houston. We don't expect it to stick around very long. It's going to move through pretty quick. I think it's going at 20 miles an hour, 18 to 20 miles an hour, so it should move out, within just a portion of a day. It should move through the area and be gone north of us. But just wanted to have this project done so that I could, make sure that if we lose power for a period of time, that I would have at least some way of switching the refrigerator on occasionally to keep things cool, or the freezer, as well as I have a small window unit that we could always huddle down in one single room, stick that in the window and run it. So that's the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Let me know feedback if I did anything wrong, or any advice to things I did that I could have done better. Please let me know. I'll probably have a follow-on video at some point on my connections. I expect that I will put a transfer switch in, so that I can plug the 220 directly into a transfer switch, and just have a few things that I could switch on and off in the house while the generator is running, as well as I'm going to have the gas company come out and put a natural gas connection on the outside of the house, so that I can hook this into the power panel, as well as into the natural gas hookup. No gas, no LP bottles, no extension cords running around through the house. So that'll be my end state setup. I also have a Harbor Freight 100 watt solar panel set up with some batteries. Not everything is here yet. I've got a couple of small inverters, so in the future I'll be mounting all of the components there onto a piece of plywood, and coming up with a setup to where I can charge a few batteries off the solar panels if needed. When I have shore power, I've got a small trickle charger that I'll use to keep the batteries charged, and then I have a 1000 watt inverter and a 325 watt inverter that I will be using to try to power some things, if for whatever reason I don't have natural gas option. The Harbor Freight solar panels comes with a couple of DC lights with some very long cords, so I'll probably check those out and see how they look. They're LED, so I think they're fairly bright. They run directly off the 12 volts, so you don't have to use the inverter for that. So that's a pretty nice setup and a nice little addition to the Harbor Freight package for that 100 watt solar panels. Anyway, that's it. Appreciate y'all sticking with me through this whole project. Hopefully if you attempt to do this project yourself, please let me know how things go for you, and any trouble that you run into in the comments. And again, thank you for watching.